Alright, YouTube. Tonight we're going to talk about the Gearwrench ratchets and more importantly the Gearwrench warranty program or warranty department. So the backstory on this is over here out of the way. So I had the 84, just like this one, the 84 tooth flex head half-inch, and after 2 years I broke it. I sent them a picture, sent them an email, and they said that it's currently on back order, but as soon as they get one in, they'll send me one. Okay. That process took about a day to get the email back from them, and then about a month goes by, I get a phone call. It's like, hey, we're sorry about the delay. We just got some in, and we got one coming to you. And they emailed me a UPS tracking number. And I typed in the tracking number that night, and it was going to Cleveland, Ohio. I don't live in Cleveland, Ohio. So I called them back the next morning, and they caught the mistake. And I'm like, well, we'll try to get UPS to, reroute it because it's still in transit. No big deal. And apparently they couldn't get a hold of UPS or whatever. They emailed me back saying, hey, we're just going to send you another one. So, checked the mail this morning, and here they are, both of them. They showed up. This one showed up a couple of days ago. This one was here about a day apart. I went ahead and opened this one and put it back to work. And then this guy shows up, and it's not the same one. I called him back. I was like, hey, I got 2 ratchets. So he's like, well, we wrote the first one off as a shipping loss. So enjoy both of them. So I thought that was pretty cool. The whole process took almost 5 weeks. So that kind of sucked, but they did make it right. I mean, literally all I did was send them a picture of a ratchet that was broken in pieces, and here we are. So I'd say their warranty is pretty good. You do have to wait a little bit. It's not like a tool truck, of course. There are Gearwrench tool trucks apparently. I don't have one in my area, and as far as I know, I probably don't even have one in the state. But anyway, so I'm going to go over a little bit of what I like about these. These are just a regular flex head. However, Gearwrench uses indexing and a little detent in there. So it's a flex head, but it's not going to get floppy on you, which I like that. And you can kind of lock it in where you want it and get it. So I do like that. I do prefer a locking flex head because I've had guys, some older mechanics around, they had some older snap-on, and well, the one guy, he had older Mac and older snap-on ratchets, and they were from the frickin' 80s. But they literally get to the point where you can just flip your wrist and you can flip the head of the ratchet back and forth and back and forth. And you can tighten them down on the little bolt there, and nothing happens. It literally, yeah. So this is the new 90 tooth, whereas your previous was 84. So we gained 6 teeth. Looks like they spent a little more on the styling on this side, but still relatively feels the same, looks the same. The biggest difference I see is the way the plates are on the handles. Now, where this original older style ratchet failed was the snap ring popped out and the guts flew out on the floor. It fell off this little cart top right here. And I picked up all the pieces, put them in a bag, and I thought they wanted me to send it in, but that wasn't the case. I see this one is actually, it looks like it's actually captured inside there with this plate, and then looks like you got a little bit better snap ring in there. But overall, identical. They did put some orange paint on that line. The handles are a little bit different, but not too much, just enough to notice like the bottom down here is a little different. You get more of a little bevel there. Same detent index system, off and on switch feels exactly the same. It does feel a little bit finer in the teeth. So that's we'll see how it goes. As you see, I just opened it, I guess. But I wanted to make sure I had to go ahead from them to keep it in case they wanted me to send it back, which I would have, provided they pay the shipping. I ain't gonna do that. But that's part of that video. Another thing I wanted to show, I did finally get all my Ernst socket ball stuff together. I got everything organized the way I want it. But the one thing I keep seeing on YouTube right now, everybody's talking about is, and we're gonna put the Phillips over here out of the way. Matco and Mac have these flat, they're calling them pry drivers. It's basically a zero offset, basically a screwdriver you can use for prying. Now, as we all know for years, like it says right here on the snap-on, not a pry bar, chisel, or punch. And you can't use a flathead for a pry bar, blah, 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 blah. So my remedy for that costs a whole $12.99 at Lowe's. And these are called the Lennox demolition screwdrivers. And they've got a striking cap, and they've got like a diamond carbide on the ends, on the tips. And I have been mean as snot to these. This one's even been run over by a truck. You see where it got ground into the asphalt out in the parking lot. And as far as the Phillips goes, it's practically brand new. I don't do it. It's just a normal number 2 Phillips. It does have like this diamond grit carbide-like tip on it. I guess it would grip a stripped out screw or whatever. I really don't see the use in it. These are for demolition, according to the home improvement stores where they come from. And I still have it. Home Depot sells the Milwaukee version of these, which look kind of like the Instinct grip on the snap-on, kind of like that, but not, of course, not exactly for copyright reasons. The same thing, striking cap, ruggedized head on the flathead, and the only reason I replaced it with these is because I lost the flathead, and I let somebody borrow the Phillips and it walked off, which is why I kind of don't like loaning out tools, but whatever. The Phillips is, to me, just a free screwdriver. You get a zero offset pry bar with a free screwdriver for $12. And I have beat out wheel seals with this. I have pried. I've done all kinds of dumb stuff you should not do with a screwdriver. I've driven it in like a chisel, hammered the heck out of it, and I've had this going on a year now. And like I said, it's been run over. And it's just trucking. So I don't see the point in spending the money when you can buy this for less than $15. I just figured I'd show that off. People are entitled to do what they want with their tool purchases, of course. Buying a high-end pry bar, like this is a Snap-on, and it's got the striking cap. And I've been mean to this one. I haven't been able to bend it, break it, I do have some wear going on the tip there a little bit. And when I got it, it was a really sharp tip on there versus, you know, the old Harbor Freight. And this one, you know, you diesel mechanics or your air brake guys, you can recognize this. I had this one cut out to do the blue spring on brakes. I now do it a different way. And I've had to heat it up and bend it back. You can see the heat marks in it. Another thing I had to do was heat it up and quench it to harden up the end of it. I've also changed the way I do those brakes now. I put the blue spring on first, and then I do this pry bar with some vice grips on the side to get the little red springs in. But yeah, you know, hey, I figured I'd show off my two new Gearwrench ratchets I got. And I like Gearwrench has a cheaper, you know, version of the tool truck ratchets. Here's an old 120 XP, and I have beat the ever-loving snot out of this one, but this guy is the go-to for tight space. Yeah, this is what I used before I had Snap-on, because we didn't always have a tool truck in this shop. Still, the 120 XP, from what I remember reading, it has a double pawl, stacked pawl design. It always has, I don't remember how many teeth they said were always engaged, but it only takes, it's advertised right there, 3 degrees of swing arc to get the next tooth. So you get down in a tight little space, and this is my favorite ratchet for that purpose. I wouldn't use it to break loose things, and that's why we got this big monster, or this big guy here. But yeah, but other than that, I think the other earnest thing I got was the plier organizer, and this freed up a lot of room in this drawer. If you saw my first video, I had all these pliers laying flat, and it took up the whole drawer and just pliers. And now I've got room. I snuck a couple of hammers in there. I've got my brake tools, my blower, and tape measure in there. So I believe I about got this thing organized the way I want. Of course, none of this organization stuff come off the truck. I use Amazon for that. And, you know, I save money where I can, but there are some things you can't just buy. I mean, you know, from normal retailers. Like, you know, to me, I love the dual 80. I love the locking on the Snap-on. Everybody says the Matco's better. I don't know. I don't have a Matco guy. We have one in the area, but he will not come by the shop. I've called him twice, and I even have my Snap-on guy who knows the guy ask him, hey, you know, why don't you come by? And never seen him, so that's his loss. But yep. All right. Well, I figured I'd show off a couple of things, and the main point would be the new Gearwrench snotting tooth. We'll put this old girl through her paces and see what happens. All right. Y'all have a good evening. All right, bye.